Welcome to Lesson 8 of East Main 101. I am your facilitator, City of Jackson Communications Director Kenneth Cummings. And for today's lesson, we have Fire Marshal Billingsley.
I thought you were going to say Fire Marshal Bill.
Fire Marshal, I mean, it's close enough because that's the first four letters of your
Yes,
name.
that's it.
Fire Marshal Billingsley with the Jackson Fire Department. Welcome, LaTrell,
Thank you for having
to
me.
Lesson 8 of
Yes,
East
sir.
Main 101. As of this recording, we are publishing this on July 4th. So
Okay.
today, as of this recording, it's July 4th. So we're going to be talking a lot about fire safety, of course, fireworks as well.
Mm-hmm.
So first off, let me read this bio about LaTrell. It's pretty lengthy. I had to shorten it a little bit, but it's all good. LaTrell Billingsley is a 14-year veteran firefighter with the City of Jackson Fire Department. He now is the Fire Marshal and Division Chief for the Fire Prevention Bureau.
Yes, sir.
In his 13-year career, LaTrell has worked as a firefighter and as a public education officer.
Mm-hmm.
His primary functions were to protect the community from emergency situations, including house and building fires, and to serve the community by promoting fire safety and injury prevention programs within the City of Jackson. Mm-hmm. As Fire Marshal, LaTrell manages and supervises the City of Jackson Fire Department's Fire Prevention Division and personnel. He conducts fire inspections and fire investigations to determine origin, cause, and perform follow-up investigations if determined to be arson. Mm-hmm. In this role, he is responsible for ensuring compliance with the fire code as adopted by the City of Jackson and performs enforcement activities when necessary. LaTrell received a Bachelor of Science in Business, cum laude, from Lane College. LaTrell has numerous certifications, and we're going to talk about this a little later.
Okay.
Fire Officer 1, Firefighter 1 and 2, Fire Apparatus Operator, Fire Department Instructor 1, Public Fire and Life Safety Educator 1 and 2, Fire Inspector 1 and 2, Hazardous Materials Technician, Tennessee State Certified Member of the International Code Council, Certified Fire Investigator through the National Association of Fire Investigators. It's a lot of certifications.
Yes, sir.
He is also an emergency medical first responder with the City of Jackson Fire Department. LaTrell serves with humility and passion in the community and church. In 2017, LaTrell was elected to become the trustee chair at Wesley Chapel United Methodist Church, where he is an active member. He has volunteered in the City of Jackson and Madison County League sports as a coach of soccer, baseball, and football teams. He's a volunteer with Better Balance Sports Fitness Club's programs and serves as the president of the Better Balance nonprofit organization. He is also a member of the Hands Up Preschool Board. Mm-hmm. He is married to his lovely wife, Whitney Billingsley, of 10 years with 4 beautiful children, and Whitney, who is our current community engagement for Recreation and Parks. He is a dedicated husband, father, and family man. He's ambitious and motivated. He is diligently pursuing his career in the fire service while continually striving to be a pillar of strength and success for the Jackson community. That's it for East Main 101.
Who wrote that?
Ladies and gentlemen, LaTrell Billingsley, Fire Marshal Billingsley.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being on
Thank you.
East Main 101. I'm excited to talk to you because you were probably you're the first in the first responders of these lessons. And I knew that July 4th was coming up and fireworks and everything of that nature. And we'll get into that later on. So your bio, I mean, you talk about certifications.
Yeah.
It's a lot of them. And you've been with JFD, Jackson Fire Department, for almost a decade and a half, almost 15 years.
It'll be 14 years exactly, July 16th.
14 years exactly in a few weeks, few days, actually.
Yes, sir.
So we're going to start off with the basics.
Okay.
You know, I can't speak for all children, but for me, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a fireman. Of course, I'm not a fireman, but it's almost like every child has this dream of being a firefighter. And it seems that's one of the first things that we want to do. We see that. You are a firefighter.
Yes, sir.
I mean, we read the certification, you're a firefighter, medical, all those things. You've been with JFD for, like you say, almost 15 years. It'll be 14 years in a few days. Is this something that you knew you wanted to do? And if not, what was your inspiration for joining the fire department here in the City of Jackson? So what's been your overall experience with the department?
Overall experience has been It's been fantastic, to say the least. This is a career that I had to ask my aunt and uncle, who were very integral in raising me at an early age, about, what kind of inspired this career path. And they said this was one of the things I would say as a child that I wanted to be. Mm-hmm. I said, I don't recall that. My aunt Lawrencine and my uncle Joe, in Flint, Michigan, by the way, is where I was born. They would say that you want to be, I would say that I want to be a pastor, a lawyer, a doctor.
All the basic things that kids
right.
think.
Right. But I would also say that I want to be a firefighter as well. So, and they were influential in making sure that I promoted higher positions and quality positions as far as a career to aspire to be, not just the typical basketball player or a singer or something like that. That's a leave and achieve something. So that's what that was.
So you're not from Jackson?
I wasn't born in Jackson. I'm from Jackson.
When you get to?
I didn't move to Jackson until 97, 98.
Okay.
Around that time, I was in the 6th grade.
Okay. So all you know really is City of Jackson.
Yes, sir.
So you said that they told you that was one of the things that you wanted to do. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you are one. What motivated you to actually, okay, maybe they were right. Let me go ahead and do this fire thing.
At the time of when I applied, I was working for an attorney here in Jackson. It's a bankruptcy attorney at the time. And I had just kind of got, I don't want to say bored with it, but it was a real slow time. And the paralegal who was working for it, she was like, you look like you're a little bored. I was like, yeah, I'm an outside kind of guy. I'm an athlete. I like to go and do things sometimes. She suggested, she's like, hey, the fire department's hiring. It'd probably be a good idea for you to put the application in and apply. I was like, firefighter. And most people think, you really fight fire? That was kind of my reaction and response as well. But I was like, okay, I can do that. And I applied. It was a 2-year process. I applied in 2000. I filled out my application in 2008. I didn't get hired on until 2010. Okay. By the chief at that time was James Pearson. Rest in peace, Mr. Pearson. I had already transitioned from the job with a lawyer at the time to another job. Okay. And my supervisor at the time, Ms. Trevette White, who has passed as well, she knew Chief Pearson. And she said, the same thing. She's like, baby, you kind of wasting away in here doing what you're doing. She's like, I see you have a lot of potential. You're a very smart, intelligent guy. What is it? I said, I applied for the fire department and hoping to hear back from him. I hadn't heard back from him in some time. And she said, well, baby, I know the chief of the fire department personally. I was like, you kidding.
Right.
Yeah, I was like, you kidding. She was like, no, I can call him. I was like, okay. So I wasn't expecting to hear back from him as fast as I did, but the next day I showed up at work, he was there. He was like, son, are you LaTrell? I was like, yeah, that's who I am. I was like, who are you? He's like, my name is Chief Pearson with the Jackson Fire Department. He said, we've been trying to get in touch with you. You ain't been trying to get in touch with me. He's like, no, is this your number? I was like, that's my old number. He said, well, we have been trying to get in touch with you. You need to reach out and go down to City Hall, 3rd floor, and reach and contact Miss, I think it's Miss Rose at the time, Miss Rose. And I knew Miss Rose. We had worked together at Sears in years past. So, but yeah, that's kind of how my hiring process went. Now, the physical agility test, that's a different beast. The written test is a totally different beast as well.
So before you got to this level of the fire department, of course you got to go through all the training, all the physical, mental, the writing, all of that stuff. But before, you say you worked at a law office. Mm-hmm. Was there something that you wanted to do that wasn't like? Did you have a dream of doing something? What was that thing that you wanted to do before you applied to be a firefighter? I know you got bored. Like,
I wanted to be like a business mogul.
Okay.
Honestly, just seeing my uncle. He's an electrician, but he also owned property. He had a couple of different businesses and things like that. It was just I didn't really see myself working 9 to 5 hard at work in a factory setting or just to.
You didn't see yourself like at a desk job.
No,
like,
not like that.
You need to be outside.
Yeah, I wanted to be able to do something.
I was at
move around a little bit.
I was at a call center before I got my call at Jackson, which was actually 2010 as well. I got here March of 2010.
Okay.
So I thought you were on the fire department like all your life when I first met you. So to know that you started the fire department, like I was a few months already here in Jackson, so we started around the same time. here in Jackson, working in a field that we're currently in. Me in journalism at the newspaper, but still in the communications realm. You as a firefighter. So you didn't want to be at the desk. I didn't want to be at the desk. I worked at a call center, and I hated it. I need to be outside. I need to be with a camera in my hand or something in the communications field. So I totally understand where you're coming from. But to have that inspiration for somebody who's like, hey, you look bored here. Why are you need to find something.
Yeah.
And they pushed you to do that.
She did.
And you got that phone call finally on a, I guess, new number or.
On a new number, yeah.
Okay. So you got that phone call and you went through the test. At that time, 14 years ago, I know it's changed probably a whole lot since you did it. What was it like? Just take us through a typical day or 2 days or however long, just in a nutshell, from when you applied to getting, your badge or whatever it is that you get. Take us through that process, just in a nutshell.
So, like the hiring process is more so
hiring and the everything to be a
Of course, you have your application, whether on paper or online. With the fire department, there is a physical agility test. There is a written test. I think it's called a civil service test still. You have to do a stress test. Of course, you go through your interview panel as well. Most people, thus far that I've learned, that they get caught up on and of course a background check, get caught up on the physical agility test. So at the time, I was still fresh out of playing sports and playing football and things like that. So.
And did you have the locks at this time?
They were just starting. I was just starting.
Okay.
It was just starting. And the physical agility test didn't conquer me like it does some other people who come unprepared. Firefighters are functionally fit athletes. We are trained to go. And that is for any emergency. Yeah. So anytime the bell goes off, we never know what that is. So we have to be prepared to go to battle. And I've used that terminology because we don't really know. We're trained to go, and it might be a fire. It could be a car wreck. It could be someone having a cardiac arrest. It could be a tornado. We had trees down. Any number of emergencies we're called to respond to. But I was in pretty decent shape at the time. So it consisted of a hose drag, a hose lift, carrying a hotel pack up about 5 flights of stairs, coming back down. Roof strikes with an axe or a sledgehammer, dragging, walking a ladder, so I had to have balance as well. And the last portion is really what gets most people, and it's the dummy drag or the mannequin drag. And once you go through all those other phases, your legs are about done. You're done. So this is where we'll see who if it'll make a man out of you.
Right. Make or break you.
Make or break you.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So and if you're dragging it, you're gonna feel it. You're gonna have some Gumby legs. So it was kind of daunting, but I did make it through it. Yeah.
You made it through it, and I've, like I said, now I've worked for the city, been able to see the physical agility test. That dummy is pretty heavy, man.
A minimum of 185 pounds.
I mean, I'm 185, but I'm 6'3". The dummy is not tall it's
rigid.
Short.
It's rigid too. Yes.
So I mean, and it's dead weight almost.
Right.
So it's not like a person who
can help
you a little bit, or who's fighting you.
You're dragging dead weight.
You got man.
Yes, sir.
So if you ever get a chance to go out to the fire department and see this in action, do that.
And we host these like training sessions for individuals who are interested in the fire service on some Saturdays. So that's something we can get information out on as well.
Cool. So you're a firefighter now, and again, we talked about as I read your bio, all these certifications. Now, as just a plain old basic firefighter, you don't need all these certifications, do you? Or
in order to be a firefighter, you have to obtain certain certifications.
Okay. Certain certifications.
Yes,
so let's read off some of those again. So Fire Officer 1.
That's a more so a secondary certification.
Okay.
You can't get Fire Officer 1 until you get Firefighter 1, Firefighter 2, hazmat awareness, hazmat operations.
So all of this to get to the officer
all this is in line. Yes,
okay.
sir. Yes, sir. All
so
these
I kind of had them out of order a little bit.
That's
but
okay.
I mean, you have to get all of these to get to a certain. What is, I guess, out of all of these, what's your most prized one to have? Or what's your most prized one to have, and which one did you have to work the hardest for to get?
Oh, man. My most prized one to have, honestly, is my firefighter 1 and 2.
Okay. 'Cause
That's the initial.
start.
I had no background in fire service whatsoever. I came in unknowing about what, the fire service, firefighting, or anything like that. So it was a pretty good task for me. So yeah, that was probably the most prized one. I am a firefighter.
You are a firefighter. It's like we had on Austin. We had Austin a few lessons back, and I said there's no such thing as a former Marine. So if you retired, you are still a firefighter. Okay. And which one, I guess, was the hardest to obtain?
Oh, man.
Let's see, you got some state ones and some national.
I mean, correct that. Probably my firefighter 1 and firefighter 2 is my hardest to obtain.
Because you were fresh out?
Yes.
Okay.
My most prized one was probably my more later certifications in fire investigation, inspector 1 and inspector 2.
Okay.
Those certifications are what allowed me to be able to become the fire marshal that I am today.
And fire marshal, you recently got that recently.
May of last year, actually.
May of 2023.
Yes, sir.
So as fire marshal, what are some of your duties as fire marshal? Of course, we see the fire marshal bill.
Yeah.
There's, that's comedy, but as fire marshal, I think Fire Marshal Childress first. I noticed he would be out, looking at after a fire happened. He would be out. I think I caught you one day out there. I guess probably one of your first fires over down the street downtown. When you're out there as fire marshal, what are you doing? What are you looking for?
So depending on what the call is and why I'm out there. So if it's a fire that is suspicious, or we think that it was intentionally set, or whatever the case may be, that calls for a second look or an investigation into the cause of the fire. All right, and that's where it's an origin and cause investigation. And then once we have certain scientific methods that we use to determine what caused it, and while determining that, we can rule out other things. So a process of elimination or deductive reasoning, we will use that to determine the origin of that particular fire.
Okay. And any other, is it just fires or car wrecks? If there's a fire, you're out there. If it's a car wreck, there's no fire, are you?
So no, if it's a car wreck and there's no fire, I wouldn't have to make the scene for that instant. If there is and then there's certain fires that doesn't necessarily have to have an investigation, but involve a certain dollar loss or property loss that would require my presence to be made on the scene to determine how much was this house worth, and we have to put that into our information system or our data recording system, and keep up with those numbers and things like that.
And so where do these go once you have all this information? What do you do with it?
So we have a program called First Due. We just transitioned from our previous program, Firehouse. This information goes into this program. It is our data warehouse or hub, and then we take that information and thus send it to the state so that our numbers for our city, our fire, how much property loss, car wrecks, EMS calls, all that stuff is put into their think tank or brain that they use to calculate certain statistical facts that we can get help in our area for education to reduce those fires, or education or resources to help keep those things down, for lack of better words. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess what are some of the main causes of, and we'll get more into fire safety, but when you're out, if you can talk about this, what are some of the main things that you see that determine that a fire has happened? I know there's electrical, other thing. What do you see most that causes fire?
Most things that cause fires, our number one cause of fire in our area, now this is of our last few years, is cooking fires, unattended cooking fires, inexperienced cookers having cooking fires.
And
primarily.
When you, people were forgetting that someone's on the stove, or
you don't even have to forget it. You can just go into the next room and back, and then it'll be on fire.
Wow.
It depends on what you're cooking and what you're cooking with. But yes, sir.
So, I've got an electric stove.
Yep.
It just as bad as a gas stove. Not bad. I'm not saying that gas stoves are bad. Not saying electric stoves are bad, but both kinds can.
They can catch fire Or start a fire, yes, sir.
So what do you suggest people just stay in the kitchen?
Yes, that is the actual education point. If you are cooking, stay in the kitchen. Stay in the kitchen.
Yeah, I know back, as a kid growing up, my mom had a gas stove, and again, we'll get into fire safety, but this is one thing. Since we're on that topic of kitchen fires, we used to heat the house up, open the oven up, especially with a gas stove.
Some of us come from more humble
Yeah,
beginnings
exactly.
than others. Yes, I've benefited from that heat source as well. It isn't recommended. Unfortunately, some of us have to do what we have to do.
Right.
But that is one of the things we also teach about in our public education aspect as well, is to not use that as an alternative heat source. But yeah.
So from cooking fires to, say, as this this lesson is published, it's 4th of July, we talk about fireworks.
Yeah.
I mean, you said it's one of your favorite holidays, to be out, barbecue, music, family, fireworks, all of that. So let's talk about fireworks and fire safety.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and let you do your preface of fireworks.
Okay. So just so everyone is aware, camera 2, fireworks in the city of Jackson at this time are illegal. All right. It is a city ordinance against them currently. All right. So my happiness or excitement around the holiday, I don't want anybody to get that confused with me promoting the use of fireworks or shooting off of fireworks in the city of Jackson where it is not legal to do so.
But we can talk about fireworks safety for those where places it is legal.
Yes, sir.
Because you are certified in all these areas, you can talk about that. So fire safety, of course, like I said, we're recording this, a week before, but it'll be around 11 o'clock when this publishes. Mm-hmm. People will either be watching it or getting ready for. What are some of your key safety points when it comes to shooting fireworks or Roman candle, all the things dealing with 4th of July?
I have kids,
okay,
and I once was a kid. To some people, I'm still a kid. But my primary safety point or fact about shooting fireworks is that any firework that is being lit should be lit by an adult, a responsible, coherent adult at that, and never in a dry, bushy, or brush filled area, because those types of fires can get out of hand very quickly, and they can tend to go up to a property, and thus you have a brush fire that turns and results into a home or a house fire. So make sure that we've had some rain in the past few days, but we also want to make sure that a responsible person is the one that is lighting the fireworks. So for all of our enjoyment and safety as well. Secondly, I don't suggest that anybody take and shoot Roman candles at each other, whether that's a Roman candle or a bottle rocket or black cat or whatever type of firework that you use. Some of these have quite a bit of blasting powder or gunpowder, not gunpowder, but blasting powder in them. That can cause some damage. You can lose a finger or an eye or skin or whatever. I myself have had a firework injury, and it was my own fault. So. Right. But yes, sir. Those are the main things I like to promote. Just if you're going to do it, let the adults do it. The kids need to be back safe distance enough to enjoy it. But make sure that wherever you are shooting them off at, it is a place that allows that to do so, right, to be done. So
make sure it's a place where it's legal to do.
Correct.
I mean, I was also a kid at some point, and for a long time as a kid, all I could do was use the little sparklers. That's it. I could walk around with a sparkler and watch my big cousins shoot off the big ones.
You would be surprised at how hot those sparklers are.
Oh, they're hot. They're very hot. Yes, sir. Because it's a steel rod and whatever it is. So, yes, they were pretty hot. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I could watch my big cousins shoot off the bigger fireworks I was be at a safe distance. And then when I got older, I remember, I'm from Memphis. I don't even know if they were illegal or not there, but I remember when it was hot, Mama would always water the grass. Mm-hmm. Again, they're not legal in the city of Jackson, but for places where they are, if it's dry, if it hadn't rained, water the grass.
It's probably not a good idea.
Probably not a good idea
to pop them to begin with.
At all. So, but also the Roman candle shoot-offs, as kids, of course, we did stupid
participated
things.
in those things as well. Yeah.
And it was crazy. And just growing up, it's like, maybe that wasn't such a good idea.
They say if you know better, you do better. Right?
Yeah.
And that's the premise. We hope that's the case.
We hope so. And I think I learned better. And I'm not shooting at anybody, but, as a kid, I remember in Orange Mound, one of my big cousins, he had this, it was like a bazooka type thing. It was a gun, and he shot it up, and it hit actually one of the street lights. And, the street light, the glass off of it exploded.
Shattered,
yeah. So be careful. For those where fireworks are legal,
please be careful.
Be careful. And where they're not legal, just find somewhere to go. And we got events.
I think we got the Freedom Fest.
Freedom Festival.
Yes. I believe at one point it may have been canceled, but I believe it is going on this year.
Yeah, it is going on. So, again, be posted July 4th, 2024. Firefighter Freedom Festival is back at the airport.
At the airport.
Right? If you want to just enjoy some nice fireworks, it's fun to go to.
They got good music and food as well. And
it's almost all day. And I remember when I used to work for the Jackson Sun, I used to cover the Freedom Festival.
Okay.
Just if you can find a place to go watch fireworks, I would highly suggest that, because there are a few places around West Tennessee that have those.
And you can save some money.
Save some money. You ain't got to buy your own.
That's right.
So fireworks, fire safety like that. So as public, you were a public or are still, can you still consider yourself the public
Public education officer.
You still you're certified in it,
yes, sir.
so you can be that. You can still do it. So as the public fire safety educator, I remember the firehouse that the fire department had over on Canalco, and you still have the gaming trailer.
Yes, sir.
So a lot of those things are good educational pieces to teach people about fire safety. You also teach about the importance of having a fire safety plan.
Yes, sir.
So how important is it to have a fire safety plan for wherever you are, whether it's home, school, work? How important is that?
Well, just a plan, period. Without a plan, you have nothing to go by. And you don't want to encounter a situation that you have not had some planning for, because you won't know what to do or how you're going to react. So the fight or flight will kick in type situation. And in those situations, if you've practiced for it, you've planned for it, there's a better chance of survival or coming out in having a better outcome in that situation. So with that being said, having a plan is very important, whether it is for a fire, whether it is for a tornado, whether it is for a active shooter, whether it is for any number of emergencies that you could encounter. Even if a car accident, what are you supposed to do then? Well, you need to make sure yourself and your passengers are okay. If you get out your vehicle, if you can't get out your vehicle, you want to check the other passengers as well. If they're okay, now what's the next plan of action? We need to call our insurance company, get the police involved, and those things are, they go hand in hand. So if you don't know what to do, it's a good idea to get a plan to put in place before the event or situation happens.
So what is to start, what's our basic plan? Is there a basic plan of just knowing where the exit? What's a basic plan for somebody who's just like, okay, starting a family, I want to make sure everything. As far a basic plan and the things that I need to have in my home or
at your house. All right. So for the example of a house fire, you're newlywed. You're taking care of your family. You just bought a home. First things you want to make sure you have in that house before you purchase it, which should be there anyway, is a smoke alarm, a working smoke alarm.
It's crazy how important those are.
Yes, very. First line of defense in the house is a smoke alarm. All right. Next, you will want to have a fire extinguisher in a visible place. All right. Now, they're red, and they're ABC fire extinguishers. They put out a couple of different classes of fire. A lot of times they don't go with the feng shui of the house or the design or decor, and they get hid under the sink or in the cabinet. Well, like I said, most fires that we have in the city of Jackson are cooking fire. And if you have a fire extinguisher, it's probably going to be in the kitchen or in the garage or out in the shed or something like that. But if you store it in the kitchen under the cabinet, to get to your fire extinguisher, you're probably going to have to walk past the stove that is what's on fire. So you're turning your back on the fire to reach down and get an extinguisher from under the cabinet or whatever where it's placed at or hidden at. And then you go to try to use it. and then you have a problem with using it because most people hadn't planned for this situation and don't know the proper steps to use a fire extinguisher. So again, a smoke alarm, fire extinguisher, and then you put your actual emergency plan in place. All right, so the emergency plan will be making sure that all windows in the house are openable. That means they can't be closed. I mean, not painted closed, nailed shut or screwed shut, and having a meeting place once you get outside. So teach your children how to, of course, open those windows in case of an emergency only. Sleeping with doors closed, things like that, and that's what blocks fire from traveling. Fire is searching for oxygen and fuel to burn. So you sleep with your doors closed, so that allows for the fire to not be in on you. That door is a natural barrier. So once you get out the house, your meeting place is typically what I teach the kids, what I taught the kids at schools when I would visit them, is to meet at the mailbox in the front yard. If your mailbox is on your house, I'm pretty sure there's a big tree in the front yard, at your yard, your neighbor's yard, somewhere close by that you could be seen very easily to fire personnel once they arrive on the scene. And of course, you want to be able to call 911. So in order to call 911, in this day and age, you have to have a cell phone or be able to get to your neighbor's house and call 911 from there.
Okay, so those are just the basics.
Some basic stuff. Yes, sir. Yes,
all
sir.
of that seems like it can save your life.
Yeah, it can. And if you don't practice it, then of course you wouldn't know what to do in that situation. So of course.
So few things. One, let's go back to the smoke alarm.
Yes.
Fire. For one, I have this thing. I don't like when people leave their batteries and it just beeps, beeps, beeps. Or if I'm watching like a TikTok
That's
video.
kind of one of my pet peeves.
So changing your battery.
Yes.
How often? What's the?
Twice a year when
Okay.
we change time.
Okay.
Spring forward and fall back.
Okay. So during like daylight savings time and things like that. So change your fire smoke alarms. Don't let it continue to beep because it's annoying.
And you'll get numb to it.
Yeah, and you forget.
And then once it actually goes off because there's smoke, you're like, okay, it's just beeping because it's what it's been doing. So yeah, and they do expire. Smoke alarms do expire.
Okay.
So after about 10 years, it's best to replace it at that time.
The entire smoke
detector.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And then fire extinguishers, are they readily available? Can we just go to?
Yeah, you can get a fire
store?
extinguisher at any hardware store.
Okay.
Big box hardware store. Walmart, Lowe's, Home Depot, Harbor Freight, any of them.
Is there a guess a minimum to how many people should have at home?
So I recommend at least 2.
Okay.
Depending on the layout and what you have in your home, or how many gas appliances, or what you're doing at your home.
Okay.
If you got a shop, most guys may have a shop out back. It's wise to have a fire extinguisher back there, depending on what you're doing. It is also wise to have a fire extinguisher in the kitchen and or the garage if that is where you hanging out and have a gas water heater or things like that. So a safe amount. It depends on how large the home is, and again what kind of layout and what gas appliances and things you have going on there.
And you also mentioned windows. For those who have a sense of security and they have the bars on the window, what do you say to people who do that? I know, back home in Memphis, one of my aunts, she had bars on her window. Of course, you can't get out of that.
No, unless you have a key. So
there are
yes, I was born in Flint, so those were very present everywhere you went. Bars on the windows, but in some of those cases, you will have a key on the inside. Now, I'm not speaking against anybody's security. If you feel secure with bars on your windows, go for it. But on the other hand, if there is an emergency situation, how do you expect me as a firefighter who's coming to rescue you to get in? We do have tools. We have spreaders. We have K-12s, which are our rescue tools. But those are valuable seconds and or minutes that we could have been in the property to have basically evacuated you from a burning building. Okay. So, but it is recommended that there be a key close by so that you can rescue you.
So if there are some kind of security mechanism outside your window, have one that's allows access.
Correct.
From the inside where you can get out, but you say you have tools that if it's something that they can't get to, you're able to knock that out. And you also mentioned making sure doors are closed when you sleep. I mean, that's just for me. It's not a fear thing, but I cannot sleep with my door open. I need
so
security.
You're about to be a dad,
right?
All right, and you're having a little girl, right?
Mm-hmm. She's gonna be in the room.
She gonna be in the room.
I understand it's like toddler when they're not in the same room.
Yeah.
But just like right now, overnight, like if the door is cracked or if my wife comes in and just doesn't close the door all the way, I'll get up and I just need to have it closed.
Yeah.
I knew it was a fire safety thing because when you open the door, more oxygen and whatnot, it spreads. But that is it's a good thing to know.
Yeah.
So just close your door.
It's a natural fire barrier.
Yeah.
Even if it's a hollow core door, it'll still help keep that fire from coming in on that room.
And smoke
smoke as well.
inhalation is probably another one of the major things when it comes to fires. You hear more about when people are victims of fires, it's smoke inhalation that gets
you're going to pass away from the smoke inhalation before you ever get burned.
Okay. So as a fire marshal, is that something that when you come upon fires, even as a firefighter, is that something that kind of hits when you come up on the scene where there is a victim? How emotional is that as a firefighter?
It sticks with you. I can vividly remember all the casualties I've encountered, especially the ones of late in the investigative and fire marshal role. But yeah, it does stick with you. I remember them. I see families who I've actually met in casualty situations or death situations, and they remember me as well. So,
and I'm guessing, hoping that you've had more positive situations where you're saving.
Yes, that's kind of what has inspired me to keep doing what I'm doing. So when I go to a school or I'm out in the community, and as a public education officer in years past, to see little kids light up and see me in the firefighter role and coming to speak to them, and who may have never seen a firefighter with locks who look like them or look like me, it was a joy to see them smile, and I could be teaching them at the same time and putting some words of wisdom and giving them some jewels and nuggets to leave with. So yeah.
So are there, when you used to go or still go to these classrooms, and let's say you went to a kid was in the 2nd grade, and then maybe a few years later he's in the 4th grade or she's in the 4th grade. Have there ever been moments where these students come up to you and be like, "Hey, I told my mom, I told my dad that, this is what Mr. Firefighter LaTrell told me"?
I got a couple of those, man.
Tell us what's I guess one of your favorite stories of that happening.
Oh man, well, I used to coach, like rec leagues and stuff like that. So a lot of the kids, they knew me as coach before they even knew me as a firefighter. Okay. So when I would go visit their school, "Hey, you used to coach me." "Yes, I did. But I'm not here in that capacity today. I'm here to talk to you about fire safety." Fire safety, and then they would, what are you? And I asked, "What are you supposed to do when your clothes catch on fire?" Take them off. I'm like, so this is why I'm here. So right. A lot of those type of situations. No one specifically that I can recall, but I've just encountered a lot of kids over the years, man, and just going out to their school, just being present, showing up in a big red fire truck, or so they can climb one and see what it looks like, how big it is.
I'm 38, and I still enjoy seeing those fire trucks, getting in them, just sitting in them. When touch a truck happens,
yes.
I'm a grown kid trying to, climb the ladder on the fire truck. I mean, there's still things that I'm learning about the fire trucks that we have now. Some of the newer ones that we have.
Yep.
I think it was when we first got the new. I think it was Truck 5, Tower 5. Mm-hmm. Also, that's something else I learned, that each truck is named or after the station that they're at. But Tower 5, I was able to get on that ladder and control it to go up to test it out. I mean, it's just an amazing feeling, man. Just to live that dream that I did have as a kid, to want to be a firefighter, to be on this truck. It's up there.
Yes, sir.
It's up there, and I think that's one of the.
It's also a part of the
test.
Yes, sir.
And it take it all the way up to the top, climb it, and then come back down in full gear. Is it full gear or?
When you're going through an agility test, I think you just have to have on the our turnout jacket.
Okay. So just again, as a 38-year-old going up on these fire trucks, it's like living a dream. So I can only imagine as a kid now to be able to walk around and see these big fire trucks, to sit in there. I mean, do y'all still have the string in the trucks, or is it now?
So it's not.
When I was a kid, it was you sit in the passenger seat, driver's seat. There was a string you would pull, and it was just.
I think one of our older trucks does have that. Matter of fact, our public education truck has that with the chain. It's a chain that we pull. But those are our air horns, and now they're a push pedal now, so you can push a button with your foot as the driver, or the captain can do that as well, and blow the horn for them. So
talking about that, real quick, explain. I guess the roles of the firefighter. You got the driver, the firefighters, because some people just think all of them are just firefighters.
So
all of them are getting out.
Every last person is a firefighter.
Everybody is a firefighter.
Yes,
everybody can do
a firefighter's
job.
You have to start as a firefighter before you can do anything else.
So and this is something I didn't know. I thought whenever you got to a fire, everybody helped out with getting the hose, getting the water out. But there are some who were assessing the scene, the battalion chiefs.
Correct.
Kind of explain each of the roles at a typical fire. What's going on?
So on a typical fire, you may have one truck, you may have 5 trucks. All right. It depends on how many people you have. It's going to help determine what you're going to do.
And does it also depend on the fire?
The fire itself. It's going to dictate what we have to do tactically.
Okay.
Getting on the scene, you have one truck with a minimum of 3 people on there. You have a captain, a driver, and a firefighter. Of course, the firefighter's primary role is to go in and put that fire out, while that captain is going to get off the truck and perform what we call a 360 size up of that home. And this is all happening before the other trucks arrive. Depending on how close the battalion chief is at that time, will determine how fast he arrives as well. He or she arrives as well. And once the battalion chief does arrive, he can assume command, or the captain can transfer command so that he can effectively go in and assist his crew with putting out the fire. So each position has its own responsibilities. The driver, of course, is responsible for driving the vehicle. You have to know the streets of Jackson, how to get to and from that location safely. The captain on that truck is responsible for everybody on that truck, including himself. Given the command as to how we're going to attack this fire, whether it is through the window, through the front door, through the back door, and we move from there. You have other trucks, so if you have that's the attack engine, that's the first engine. The second engine may come in and be manpower, so they may be coming in to go be a RIT team, which is a rapid intervention team in case things go bad, or just as a swap out crew. Basically, the first crew finds the fire, they put some water on it, get some water on the fire, but they don't get it out. So the first crew may go in and do the fire attack, while the second crew that shows up is going to do their search, the primary search, and secondary search will commence after that. And then you have a truck crew. If it's a tall building or a tall house, like you said, Tower 5 will come in and set up their ladder and put it out in a defensive attack if it's too far gone and we need to get out of there. But the truck crew usually comes and brings a fan to ventilate the house and things like that as well.
Okay.
So everybody has a role.
A lot of moving parts.
Oh, yes, sir. It's controlled chaos.
And back when I was at the Sun, I covered a few fires. I mean, one of the biggest story for me is I was on my way to work, get a phone call. I was like at the interstate in the bypass, and I get a phone call, you need to get downtown now. And, as soon as I got to a certain point, I could see the smoke, and they told me that the church
was on fire.
I mean, it seemed like all of y'all were out there.
I believe for the most part we were.
Yeah. So, and in that structure itself, I mean, it was an old building.
But it was huge.
It was huge. It was wide, it was tall. Of course, not knowing when it comes to a fire, I know your primary goal is to get that fire out, make sure the people are safe.
Yep.
For a building like that, is there any thought of, okay, let's do what we can to try to preserve something, or is it just, hey, look, this building's going to be gone?
Oh, yeah, let me make sure I say this correctly. As firefighters, we enjoy our job, all right? So if your door isn't openable, they will enjoy breaking the door down to get inside to do their job.
Right. But they're doing that to help get the fire out, get the people out.
Yes.
Okay.
I like to say this for people, like you said, preface it. A good day on the job for me is a bad day for somebody in their life. So if you see me in the professional capacity of a firefighter, that means somebody's having a really bad day. So You know, the best fire that I ever fought was a fire that ever happened. You don't have to. That means prevention is working, the education is happening. Therefore, there isn't a fire for it. So,
Wow.
yeah. So I got
That's a good way to.
I have a few of them, man. Like I said, it's been around for a little while. But again, the church fire was the biggest fire I've actually been. I was on that fire, and I worked at. I was on engine 42 at the time. That was the largest fire that, to my knowledge, that we've had here in the city. There's been a couple other large, substantial fires, and more probably in lives lost versus property. But that was a pretty big fire for the city of Jackson. I think we made national news, if I'm not mistaken.
I was part of that.
Yeah.
So a lot of moving parts. For those who just, I would hope nobody just has this thought of they're just standing around.
Oh no.
I've been out there with some of the firefighters here in Jackson, and the ones that are standing around are more than likely have just come from fighting the fire. They need air and oxygen like that. Who takes care of that? Is that the driver who handles like making sure that new oxygen tanks get
So the driver is responsible for making sure that his crew gets new tanks, but the person who is wearing that tank is responsible for you're responsible for your own air.
Right.
All right, that is your lifeline to get back out. So once you come out the building, you find your driver or someone who is on a truck close enough to you that you can get another SCBA tank to put on there. Yes, sir.
Man, that's it takes a lot.
Yeah,
to be
so
a firefighter.
On a fire scene, we're going to do a lot of work really fast.
Yeah,
really fast.
I've seen it, man, and it's pretty quick. You know, you get to a certain point, you see the fire, it billows up, and next thing you know, you just see the black smoke.
Yep.
And that means that the fire is
certain things are burning.
Certain things are burning, and then when you realize, next thing you know, all the smoke's gone. That means y'all have put out as much as you can. You know, and you're putting out some little. You know, you don't see a fire if you're out there. You don't see a fire, but the water's still going because there might be some hot spots or fire burning up under something. A lot of moving parts, a lot of moving people to save lives, save property if you can.
And money.
And money. So, I mean, that's having a plan. That's, like you said, the prevention part. If there's prevention, you are not working. If everybody's doing what they're supposed to do, we wouldn't need firefighters.
There you go.
But we need our firefighters.
Yes, sir.
We need our first responders to get the work done, to save lives, to get these fires put out. Can you repeat what you said? A good day for you is bad. How'd you?
So
I know what you meant, and it's profound. It's basically when you're putting your stuff on, when you're in full out gear,
it's game
somebody
time.
is having.
It's game time.
I'm trying to save somebody's life.
Right. Yes, sir.
That was something else right there, man. I've never heard that before. Did you get that from Chief Samuels?
I don't know. No, I don't think he gave me a lot, but I don't think he gave me that.
Chief Samuels, shout out to Chief Samuels, man. He kept us both. You know, I'm not even a firefighter, but he makes sure, son. Is he one of the reasons you cut your locks? Or
no.
You just tired of them like I was?
No. I was, I was tired of them. It was time for a change.
And, I mean, the thing as a firefighter, how can you when I work for the Sun taking pictures, come home, just the smell of the smoke, oh, gosh. So I can only imagine as a firefighter.
Every time I will fight a fire, I will have to wash my hair, really bad.
Because your hair used to be like, he used to have locks. I did too. It's crazy. Both of us did. Mine were about 14 years. How long did you have?
About 12 years.
12 years. So we both used to have long locks, and of course now we got tired of it. And that smoke smell, oh gosh, I used to hate it. Hate it. So when I got home, I mean, I felt like I was, there was no smoke, but I felt like I couldn't even breathe sometimes. So locks are gone now. If there was a fire, it would just be my clothes, and I could just change those out. Ladies and gentlemen, Fire Marshal Billingsley, not just Bill. Thanks for coming on, man.
No problem.
You've gotten us a lot of good information, and as time goes on, we'll have you back on. We'll have other firefighters on just to talk about the day in the life of a firefighter. So we have on here what we call Pop Quiz.
Okay.
It's just 3 questions that I ask my guests about themselves. It's not really a quiz, but it's just 3 questions. So The first question we have is, what is the biggest fire? And I think we talked about it. Was the biggest fire that you've been called to?
Yeah, and that was the church fire, downtown Jackson. That was the biggest fire that I've actually been on the scene today.
So what's your story like when you got the call? Like, what was, like, my call was, hey, you need to get downtown and get this picture of these fires. Mm-hmm. What's a typical call? What was that typical day for you?
At the
What
time,
were you doing?
I'm probably just hanging out around the station. Mm-hmm. I can't remember exactly what time it was. I just know when the tone went off, it was like the church is on fire downtown. Mm-hmm. I was like, okay.
You were at Station 4.
Station 4 out south. Okay. At the time, and on engine 42. So we responded emergency, and once we made it, we pulled up on Main Street actually, right there by, at the time I think it was Bancorp South, right in front of the old City Hall building, and waiting to receive our orders. So we were assigned to park there and then take our manpower to meet up with another truck so that we can do what we need to do from there. And then from there, Quint 4 did come, and which is another ladder truck that we have in the city at the time. And I was, called by my captain. I think his name was Captain Joe Cole at the time. He said, LaTrell, I want you to get on top of the roof of the police annex building because they had some embers that were catching that on fire as well. And across the street, you had the Wolf Enterprise building that was at the time. So those buildings were catching on fire because of the church fire. Those embers were floating off, and those buildings were catching on fire. So I had to go on and help put those things out.
So with you going, did you have to get on the ladder to get up there?
Yes.
Okay, so you're on the ladder and shooting the hose from the ladder down on the top of the building.
Yes.
So when you got out there, of course, I guess you didn't know exactly what your role was going to be yet. When you have that good day, when you're in uniform, is it just tell me where to go, or do you have hey, I want to do this, or I want to do that?
So for me, I know one speed, and that's go. You say go, let's go. It's an adrenaline rush, man. So you're, it's just that, you wait for your orders. We don't want to put ourselves in any further harm or danger, and then freelance will get you hurt and killed.
There is no, I don't want to do that.
Oh no, absolutely not.
There is no. Can I do this instead?
So the only, and I'm gonna say this safely to say, like, you can say no, that you don't want to do it, but it has to be a life-threatening situation. It cannot be safe for you to do that.
But I'm sure most times your battalion chiefs wouldn't put you in a life-threatening situation because, I mean,
he's a firefighter.
He's a firefighter as well. He knows, or she knows what you're encountering.
Correct. And their job, and our chief's job, and everybody is to get back home.
All y'all got to get back home.
That's the primary.
We want all y'all to get back home safely. No injuries. If there is an injury, we don't want it to be anything that's life-threatening or that will cause you to not be able to do what you love as a firefighter. And as you said, you are responsible for yourself as well. Mm-hmm. So it's a family.
Yes, sir.
It really is a family. Man, so biggest fire, church fire, I remember it. You probably look it up on YouTube. It's on there. I was part of that to get pictures of that. All right, so question number 2. What is one piece of advice you would give to a young person wanting to start their career as a firefighter?
First, you got to have a high school at least a high school education, which is a diploma. One, be in shape, be in physical shape, and this is just life lessons more so than just anybody wants to apply for the fire department. But being in good shape is going to be a benefit to you, not just to get hired, but even after the fact. You have to still be able to perform once you get the job. That's a popular misconception. Oh, you just sit around the station and don't do nothing. Okay, you think that, and then if you get called to action and you can't perform, that puts you at risk, your team at risk, the people who are in need of your service at risk as well. So then staying in shape. And find somebody who has a background in the fire service and ask them some personal questions. Why did you do it? What made you stay? Things like that. Like you said, Chief Samuels has been a pretty good mentor for me. I had some very good captains in the past. Captain Becky Godwin, my current chief, Chief Riddle. He's believed in me as well. To be the fire marshal at a very young age. Right. That they that's a lot of responsibility. I'm effectively responsible for the safety of everybody in the city of Jackson.
Right.
So I'm not coming around to be the bad guy, but these are codes that are in place to keep you, your family, and everybody else involved in the community safe.
Keep them safe.
Yep.
That's what a fire marshal does.
Yes, sir.
So starting off as a career as a firefighter, boy or girl, I mean, we see more women firefighters coming up in the ranks now, and I mean, it's an amazing thing to see. Just everybody who sticks with one, because there are people who know that this is what they want to do from the jump, and there are people like you who's like, I'm just bored in this office, I want to do something. Somebody told you, hey, you should do this, and you've made a career out of it. And from what I've gathered in the years that I've known you, I could say that you love what you do.
Yeah, I enjoy what I do.
I can see that. Every once in a while,
the smiles that I can put on at the time, the smile that I was putting on the kids' faces was really probably the best rewarding part of my job.
Yeah.
And I can be a motivation, an encouragement, or an inspiration to future firefighters to come.
Right. So that's awesome, man. All right, and question number 3: what is the one thing that you've seen that makes you cringe when it comes to someone not practicing fire safety?
So I think we spoke on this or hinted on it earlier. Everybody has TikTok, social media, Facebook, Instagram. You might be in this big, fabulous home and have a whole lot of money, and you even flashing it, but your smoke alarm in the back is beeping. You know, it's like, come on,
I changed the video as soon as I hear it.
Come on, man. You know, so that's one of the things that, like, it's like, really? Yeah, that's one of the things that kind of,
I think there's a video out that's going around. It's hey, do you mind if I play some music to help me sleep? And it's crazy. It's funny because it's a black community, and the guy, he turns over, and the sound that he has is the beat. It's just the beat. It's like, yeah, that's that one thing that they say, you're in a certain home when the fire alarm, smoke alarm beeps, and I mean, it shouldn't. I'm not gonna say it's not hard to do it, but it shouldn't be that tough to just change the battery.
It's not.
Just
unless you have really, really tall ceilings, it's not.
So what do you do for that? Just get a really, really tall ladder?
Yeah. Or so if you have a problem with, and this is, I'm gonna speak to the camera. If you have a problem with changing your smoke alarm or your battery, you can give us a call. We will gladly come out and install free smoke alarms for you in the city of Jackson, and it's also going on in the county as well. And if it's not, give us a call. We'll still try to make a way to get them installed for you. But it's not hard at all. Unless you have a really tall ceiling, or you're older in age, or you just don't feel safe or balanced on a step stool and or ladder, man, we'll come and put them up for you, and it's free.
And I'm not sure. They may not. Smoke alarms. You just call the fire department. Don't call 911. Is there a number that's non-emergency? Yes.
Our fire department number is 425-8350. That's 731-425-8350. And you will ask for fire prevention, or our executive secretary will get you to the right extension, and we can get you on our list.
That's the non-emergency number.
That is a non-emergency number to contact.
I don't need to call 911 to get a new fire.
Call 911 if there's an emergency. Call 911.
But not I don't even need to do anything. If there's an emergency, call 911.
Exactly. Yes, sir.
So call 911 if there's an emergency. Call the non-emergency line if you need a smoke detector or want to sign up to have a firefighter come talk to your kids.
Yes, you want a fire station tour. And you can do this all online as well.
All online, jacksontn.gov or fire.jacksontn.gov. We'll have that link in the description. And, Fire Marshal Billingsley, appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for having me,
man. It's still fun, like I said, as a 38-year-old, to learn about fire prevention, fire safety, fire trucks. When my baby girl comes, or whenever we have other kids, I'm looking forward to bringing them to even if she doesn't want to be a firefighter.
Yeah.
Just bringing her so I can have an excuse to come to the fire department.
And that memory.
Yeah. Right. Again, thank you for coming on lesson 8 of East Main 101. So, we have homework. And the homework for today for this lesson is just visit the fire department website at fire.jacksontn.gov. Again, like Fire Marshal Billingsley said, you can go online and request information, get new smoke detectors, learn about the fire codes, do station tours and things such as that. They've got the public education. If you're a school and you want the fire department to come there, reach out to them at the non-emergency line. Don't call 911 if you want them to come to your school unless it's an emergency.
Correct.
Emergency, dial 911. This is lesson 8. Again, thank you, LaTrell, for coming on. Fire Marshal Billingsley for coming on. I love saying that because I've grown up with you here in Jackson, just to see your come up from firefighters, to seeing your face on the side of one of the trucks, the public education truck. Isn't that you on there?
It is.
Yes, you are. And to now have you as our fire marshal. I trust LaTrell. I trust I trust all of our first responders here in the city of Jackson. Just to know the fire marshal and to know that he has the best interests of all of the citizens in this city. Not just the citizens, anybody who's coming through Jackson.
Yes.
Fire Marshal Billingsley has the best interests at heart to make sure that we're safe here in the city of Jackson.
Absolutely.
So, again, lesson 8. Thank you again for coming on.
Thank you for having me. Man.
Appreciate you. Let's shake the mic. That'll do it for lesson 8 of East Main 101. Don't forget to follow us on all of our social media channels: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Spotify, LinkedIn, Nextdoor app.
All of those?
All of them. We all over the place,
Okay.
man. We're communicating to the people who want to hear what's going on in the
That's
city of
good,
Jackson.
man.
Don't forget to follow us on all of our social media channels. eastmain101.jacksontn.gov. You can catch all of our lessons on there. Again, subscribe to us on YouTube and on Spotify. And until next week, class dismissed.